Today we're going to look at operations with decimals. So when adding or subtracting decimals, ensure that the decimal points are aligned so that you are adding and subtracting the same place values. If the decimal point is off, it's moved differently, you'll be adding different place values, and it'll be adding two things that don't have the same place value. So it'll be like adding apples and oranges. So here we've made sure that the place values line up. So here 0 plus 0, this is in the thousandth column, 0 plus 1,000th is 1,000th. If we've got 600ths plus 300ths, that's 900ths. You can see just adding them up and making sure that the decimal point is lined up will yield the correct answer. So here the answer is 42.791. When multiplying or dividing by a power of 10, so that's only 10, 100, 1,000, a million, only a 1 with a certain number of zeros, then all you need to do is move the decimal point the same number of places as the number of zeros in the power of 10. So if we're multiplying by 10, we only need to move it one decimal place. If we're multiplying by 100, 2 decimal places, 1,000, 3 decimal places. So when multiplying, we move to the right, move the decimal point to the right, and when dividing, we move to the left. We can easily check because multiplying, we're going to get a bigger number, so the number needs to be bigger, so we need to move the decimal point to the right. And dividing, we're getting a smaller number, so we need to move the decimal point to the left. So here, if we've got 51.321 multiplied by 100, if we move the decimal place 2 to the right, because we're multiplying by 100, 2 zeros, then we get 5,132.1. Here, if we've got 637.25 and we divide by 1,000, so we're going to need to shift the decimal point 3 places, and we'll need to shift it to the left. So it'll be 1, 2, 3, 0.63725. So it'll be moving the decimal point 1, 2, 3 places to the left. So looking at some of those examples, if we're adding these three numbers, we need to make sure that the decimal points are lined up. Notice here that if we've got 9.9, that's 9.90000 all the way down, because adding 0 to the end of a number or the end of a decimal point isn't going to make a difference. It's assumed that there's all these zeros there. So if we need to fill in space to make sure that they're lined up correctly, we just need to put in zeros. So here, 23.07. We do have a third decimal place here. We've got the thousandth column, and this one has a 0 in the thousandths column, and this one has a 0 in the thousandths and the hundredths column as well. So we need to place those zeros in there to make it easier to see. So here we just add each of the columns up, adding normally as you would an integer, making sure the decimal point lines up, and we get 136.629. So for this question here, 9.70 minus 2.86, well, it's 9.7. We've inserted the 0 there for the 0 in the hundredths column. So going 0, we can't take 6 away from 0, so we borrow from the number next to it, from the tenths column, borrow a tenth, so we've got 10 to subtract 6, which is 4. And that makes that, because we borrowed the 1/10, then that 7 becomes a 6. Then 6 take 8 we can't do, so we need to borrow one from the units column. So that becomes 16, and this is 8. So 16 minus 8 is 8. The decimal points are all lined up, and then 8 subtract 2 is 6, and we're left with 6.84. See here, 9.753 divided by 100. Well, we're going to be getting smaller because we're dividing, so moving to the left, and we need to move to the left 2 decimal places. So we need to move 1 to the left, so it'll be 0.9, and then 1 more, which is 0.09. So 0.09753. So you can see we've moved the decimal point from where it was, 9.753, 2 places to the left. And lastly, for this example, 27.58 multiplied by 10,000. So we've got 4 decimal places we need to shift it, and we're going to be getting bigger, so we need to shift it to the right. So we'll be shifting it 1, 2, 3, 4. So there'll be 2 extra zeros there, as you can see on the end. So our original number was 27.58. We shifted it 4 decimal places to the right. 1, 2, 3, 4. So this is where the decimal point is. And it's not actually shown there because we don't need a decimal point unless we have any parts showing after it. So here the answer is going to be 275,800. So now if we're going to be multiplying decimals that aren't powers of 10, we're looking at multiplying more complicated decimals now. Firstly, we need to initially carry out the multiplication and disregard any of the decimal points. Don't worry about them. But then, once you've done that multiplication, then insert the decimal point for the total number of decimal places in the initial problem. So here you can see, if we've got 5.73 times 8.6, we can see there are 3 decimal places. There's 2 decimal places for this 5.73 and 1 decimal place for this 0.6. So if we do initially carry out the multiplication and disregard it, we get 573 times 86. So just removing those decimal points and doing a normal multiplication. Then if we insert the decimal point for 3 decimal places in, so we get for this is 49,278, we need to insert the decimal point 3 places in, 1, 2, 3. So we'll see here, the answer is 49.278. Now the reason that we can do this is what we're doing going from here to here is we're going from 5.73 to 573. So we are multiplying by 100. So we're multiplying by 100 to get 573. And to get from 8.6 to 86, we're multiplying by 10. So you can see we've shifted the decimal place. Multiplied by 100 here and 10 here. If we multiply by 100 and then multiply by 10, it's the same as multiplying by 1,000 because we've shifted it. Essentially, we've shifted this one 2 decimal places and we've shifted it 1 decimal place. So we have shifted the decimal place back from where it should be 3 decimal places away by multiplying by 100 and multiplying by 10. We've shifted it 3 decimal places away from where it should be. So we need to shift it back right at the end. So we shift it back 1, 2, 3 by dividing by 1,000. So to get from here to here, we've multiplied by 1,000. And to get from here to here, we need to divide by 1,000 again to get us back to square 1. So the answer is, for this one, 49.278. But if you just follow these 2 instructions, you'll be able to do any multiplication of any decimals. When we're dividing decimals, looking at dividing decimals that aren't powers of 10 now, we firstly need to multiply the divisor and the dividend by the same power of 10 so that the divisor is a whole number. So the divisor is the number that we're dividing it by, and the dividend is the number that we're dividing up. So for this problem here, this is the dividend here, and this is the divisor. So we need to multiply them both so that they're the same, so that this is a whole number. Then all we need to do is align the decimal point in our normal short division in the answer and the dividend. So in the answer that we have at the top and the dividend down the bottom. So if the reason that we can do this, or let's just have a look at this problem first. 27.354 divided by 0.02, we need to make this a whole number. So we can do that by shifting the decimal point 2 places to the right. That's the same as multiplying by 100. So we multiply the dividend and the divisor by 100. The reason that we can do that is this is very much like a fraction. We've got this would be the numerator and this would be the denominator if we were looking at it as a fraction. If we multiply them both by the same number, we've got an equivalent fraction. It is the same. And so that's why these 2 are equal. If we multiply them both by the same number, then the answer, the result, will be equal. So here, then we've got the dividend here divided by 2, which is the divisor, and then we get this answer here. Recalling how to do short division, 2 divided by 2 is 1, 7 divided by 2 is 3, remainder 1. So that's 13 then. 13 divided by 2 is 6, remainder 1. And 15 divided by 2 is 7, remainder 1, with 14 divided by 2 equaling 7. So we've lined up the decimal point and we've yielded the answer there. Last example, here we've got 4 calculations to do. So the first one, 2.57 times 3. Let's disregard that decimal point. We're going to multiply this by 100 to get 257 times 3. And the answer to that is 771. Then, if we go back the other way and divide by 100 and shift the decimal point back, in our original problem we saw there are 2 decimal points. So we need 2 decimal points in the answer. The answer is 7.71. So for B, here we've got 3 decimal points here, 3 decimal places that we've got. So, but disregarding those initially, 413 times 96, we get, by doing that problem, 39,648. So that means we had initially 3 decimal places, so we need to shift the decimal point back to where it should be, 39.648. For our problem here, we've got a whole number, so it should be very easy to divide. 35.756, we've aligned the decimal point, so making sure it's directly above it. 35 divided by 4 is 8, remainder 3. 37 divided by 4 is 9, remainder 1. 15 divided by 4 is 3, remainder 3. And 36 divided by 4 is 9. So there we go. So we've got our answer there for C. D. Here, now we don't have it as a whole number, but we can multiply the dividend and the divisor both by 100 to get 6,413.7 divided by 3. They will be equivalent, they're the same, exactly the same. So here we can do the short division for that, and we get the answer 2,137.9.